Now, I've been a wrestling fan for a long time now, about 11 years. I ask you, when you think of bad wrestling, what comes to mind? Bad gimmicks, maybe? A bad in-ring product? Or how about Vince Russo, the guy who helped run WCW straight into the ground with his horrible booking? I mean, come on. David Arquette as world champion? Or even worse, Russo made himself champion. Makes me want to puke every time I think about it. Okay, how about bad wrestling games? What comes to mind? ECW games are not that great. Most of the WCW games are really bad, like WCW vs. The World. WWE usually does great with their wrestling games. Some suck, like WWF Warzone. So, where am I going with all this? Well, it's a 2008 release from a company that just turned 10 years old this past June. It's TNA Impact for the Xbox 360. TNA Impact was released on September 9th, 2008 for the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360, with the Wii version released 1 week later on September 16th. Developed and published by Midway Games, it's a fast-paced wrestling game based off the Total Non-Stop Action Wrestling organization. Now, I first heard about this game in late 2005, early 2006. I was a sophomore in high school. It was over 2.5 years before the game hit shelves, and I was there day one to get it. I really hyped myself up for it, which ended up being turned into extreme disappointment. And there's a lot of it. I don't know if Midway was trying to go for an arcade-style game, but compared to the SmackDown series, the game really falls short. But let's start with the positive aspects. Graphically, the game runs smoothly and looks amazing. They scan the actual wrestlers' looks into the game to make it that much more real. Crowd samples were also taken at a live TNA Impact event to add to the game's overall experience. But amazing graphics and excellent sound do not make a great game. The commentary becomes repetitive and annoying. The amount of match types is abysmal for a wrestling game. No Six Sides of Steel cage match, no King of the Mountain match, you know, the two matches that TNA had established for years at this point. No ladder matches. There are a few hardcore modes, but they're really boring because the only weapons you have are chairs. Ultimate X is in there, but even that gets repetitive after a while. The tag team matches absolutely suck ass. There are no tandem entrances or double team moves, and that makes the tag matches feel more like a one-on-one match with a partner as opposed to a tag match. Your main single-player mode is a story mode where you are introduced to a character named Suicide. This is you. You are immediately threatened by LAX to throw the title match for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Oh, side note, these scenes where the belts appear, this is the only time they appear in the game. Yeah, so that thing like in the WWE games where you can defend the belts in exhibition mode, not here. Back to the story. Anyway, you win the match, and as you're leaving the arena belt in tow, LAX beats the living shit out of you, and then they dump you in some rat hole in Tijuana, Mexico. You wake up in a hospital, no memory of what happened, no idea who the hell you are, and thus your journey begins where you regain said memory and get revenge on your attackers. The storyline is as linear as you can get. It isn't lengthy, but you'll get real sick of the random jobbers you find on the tag matches. I guess they're really proud of that mode. Otherwise, the story mode is actually pretty entertaining. Like, listen to this cutscene with Christopher Daniels.
Why do you make us do this to you? Why? You need to do as you're told, or you will force the hand of the fallen angel to unleash a wrath of righteousness upon you. Serve your penance and pay your homage to the big man.
Another problem is the limited creative wrestler options and the abysmal move pool. You only get a handful of options for how your wrestler looks, and at most a couple of options for your moves. You do have to unlock these by playing the game and earning style points. And, well, you're going to have to play the game a lot to unlock everything. And, well, if you're that dedicated to get the Canadian Destroyer finisher at 940,000 points and playing the game for hours on end to get that one finisher, then knock yourself out. Now, why that finisher was unlockable when P.D. Williams was not in the game is beyond me. Granted, he was DLC. Did they figure making it last to unlock like that would allow them to have the DLC pack out before anyone unlocked it? Oh, by the way, the DLC is 360 only. So basically they told PS3 owners to go fuck themselves. Speaking of the finishers, they are all front grapple moves. So Jay Lethal's top rope elbow, not here. Senchi's Warrior's Way double foot stomp from the top, non-existent. And with less emphasis put on submissions, the ankle lock is not in the game either. But the Steiner recliner is in the game, and well, it's treated as any of the other moves with a pinning combination, without your opponent's shoulders on the mat. The gore sucks as well. It just doesn't feel like the same gore I've seen put Chris Jericho through the SmackDown set and Abyss through a wall. It just feels weak. You know what else is weak? A lack of testing the AI got. Okay, so you build up to these finishers by pulling off various moves and counters until the impact meter is full, which is fine when you're facing the numerous jobbers in the story mode, but when you get to some of the later stages of the single player, you have to hit 2 or 3 finishers to even keep your opponent down to 3. And that's not easy when your move pool is about as limited as Hulk Hogan. So I just go for submissions in these situations. And I will admit the submission system is pretty innovative and really easy to learn pick up, so there's no problem there. And the Ultimate X match, at least 1-on-1, is a complete joke when you can get into a rhythm of trying to grab the X, spam the attack button to knock your opponent off the cables, rinse and repeat until you win. Control-wise, it takes some getting used to if you're a vet of the SmackDown games. And well, with the limited move pool as it is, there are not a lot of controls to learn. But the timing with the counters and the springboard moves are really freaking precise, and if you're a split second off, they won't work. At this point, forget about online play. Now, I didn't have Xbox Live till almost 4 months after the game released, and the online was pretty much dead at that point. So if you want those online achievements, you'll have to get some friends together, although I don't know why you would considering how mediocre the game is. But you can still get those achievements, again, if you're that dedicated to getting them. Overall, TNA Impact is a mediocre, subpar wrestling game that showed promise but failed to deliver. With a lackluster move pool, selection of match types, and creative wrestler options, this game is far from worth $60. You can find this game dirt cheap now, so if you're interested, I wouldn't pay more than $10. The game just isn't worth more than that. Pegasus out.